Alright, hi everyone, how's it going? And welcome to another video. Now, I want to do another movie review, and I want to do a movie review on a movie that I've been wanting to review for a little while now. There have been a lot of reviews on this movie. A lot of people are very opinionated on it. And that, of course, would be Star Wars: The Last Jedi. That's what I'm going to be doing a review on today. Now, I'm going to say right now, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't seen the movie, you might want to turn the video off right now. But, yeah, there will be spoilers. Now, first off, I've been a Star Wars fan for as long as I can remember, pretty much. It's you know, been a part of my childhood. I had the Star Wars guys. I saw all the movies multiple times, you know, 4, 5, and 6. I think Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, is one of the best films ever made. I really do. I just think it's an excellent film. I think it's groundbreaking. Just a great movie. It's in my top 5 of all-time favorite films. I think Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back is the best sequel ever made. Just an excellent film in its own right. But I do prefer Star Wars Episode 4 a bit more to Empire Strikes Back, because I do like how Star Wars Episode 4 is standalone. You know, there's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. But, yeah, so I've been a Star Wars fan for a while. In fact, I just want to show you this for just a moment. Okay, now as you can see right here, this is a Star Wars poster. It's not my favorite Star Wars poster. My favorite Star Wars poster is the original 1977 movie poster, but I still like this one nonetheless. Still a cool poster. As you can see right here, there's a program from a concert, and this is from the Houston Symphony. Someone got this for me. It's the signature of John Williams. John Williams, the composer of the Star Wars music. I've seen John Williams in concert a couple times, and I really, you know, think he's great, just what he's done over the years. But I really feel that his music really did a lot to make Star Wars what it became. I really do. And as far as I know, I believe George Lucas feels the same way, that the music really does a lot to make the film. And I definitely agree. Well, so, with that said, continuing right along with this review. And again, like I said, there are going to be spoilers. But I just do want to mention that I did like Star Wars: The Last Jedi more than Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Because Star Wars: The Force Awakens made a major mistake in that film. Probably the biggest mistake they've ever made in a Star Wars film. And that was when they had Rey, who the first time she picks up a lightsaber is able to defeat Kylo Ren, someone who's been training with a lightsaber for a very long time. I didn't like how they did that. They never explained how Rey got so good. She just picks up a lightsaber for the first time. She's really proficient at it. And a lot of people have talked about that. I've heard the term Mary Sue mentioned to describe Rey. And for those who don't know, Mary Sue, as far as I know, is like a relatively recent stock character. It's usually a woman who's pretty young, who is seemingly good at just about everything she does. And they never explain how she got so good at it. For example, like in the Rocky movies or in Van Damme films, in order to explain how the character got so good at what they do, they would have a training montage. Usually the training montage would help to make the movie. You know, usually the training montage would be an important scene. But with the Rey character, there's never a training montage. So, you know, they never explain how she got good at it. So those types of characters have been referred to as Mary Sue characters. And that's something you hear a lot of people talk about when they talk about these most recent Star Wars films. You know, Star Wars 7 and 8, you know, the 7th and 8th film. you'll hear the word Mary Sue thrown around a lot. But yeah, I really thought that Star Wars The Force Awakens had some serious flaws in it, and there was really no return from these flaws. For example, the whole thing with Kylo Ren hating his father, Han Solo. They never explained that. The whole relationship between Han Solo and Princess Leia. They never explained when they got married. They never explained why Han left and now he's, kind of out flying around, kind of like he did before Episode 4 began. They never really explained any of that. So we hadn't seen these characters in 30-plus years, and there was never a good explanation of what these characters have been doing for so long. Yeah. And then there's, the character Snoke that you see like in a hologram. You kind of think they're going to do something with that character, but you just don't know what. Which leads me right into the film I'm going to be reviewing, Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, a lot of people, of course, have been critical about this. Rotten Tomatoes gave the film, I think, 93% for the critics. And I believe for the fans, it was around 54, 56%, something like that. So, clearly, the critics liked it a lot more than the fans do. And, you just look online, you'll see people's opinion on it. People saying that, they're done with Star Wars and all that. And so, yeah, I want to give my own 2 cents on all of this. Now, of course, as you know, it was a different director who did Star Wars The Last Jedi, an individual by the name of Rian Johnson. The person who did The Force Awakens was J.J. Abrams. So Rian Johnson seemed to really want to take this film in a completely different direction and kind of, sabotaged some of what J.J. Abrams was doing. And one of the first things, of course, is the scene where you see Rey handing Luke the lightsaber. Luke takes the lightsaber in his hand and then throws it off a cliff. So, you waited 2 years for that. You didn't really expect that to happen. I guess I wasn't really too bothered by that. But, yeah, I just, I guess they wanted to make it kind of comedic and whatnot. But, yeah, I didn't really expect that to happen. And you also see here that Luke Skywalker is now living as a hermit on this island. This island looks kind of like something out of The Highlander. It looks like Connor McLeod would live on this island. It had that appearance to it. And would have been great if Luke really trained Rey and there was like a good training montage scene. Instead, there's not. He maybe trains her for, I don't know, was it a couple minutes? I mean, really not much training. He lives in a place that looks like the Highlander would live there, so I thought maybe a great training montage would have been awesome in this film. Because I really like the training montage in the first Highlander movie between Ramirez, played by Sean Connery, and Connor McLeod, played by Christopher Lambert. I really liked that training montage. And I just thought it would be great if they sort of would have done something kind of Highlander-esque, where Luke is, training Rey to be a really skilled, Jedi and really training her in the ways of the Force. But you really don't get any of that. Instead, you get kind of this Luke Skywalker that's sort of a, grumpy old man. Instead, I kind of wanted to see Luke Skywalker as a wise old man, kind of like Obi-Wan Kenobi in the fourth Star Wars movie. I would have wanted to see him more like that. Instead, you get this like grumpy old man kind of character, and I just didn't like that they took him in that direction. I mean, I'm fine with the fact that they made him a hermit and whatnot, because that's essentially what happened to Obi-Wan, you know. And I get the idea of, like, Luke has kind of become like Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had become a hermit, and now Luke Skywalker has gone into hiding just like Obi-Wan did, and now he's become like a hermit as well. I don't mind that. Some people seemed to mind that. In fact, you know, these movies nowadays, these Star Wars films, they tend to be over-politicized. Like, I heard someone even say something that the fact that Luke is a hermit represents what has happened to white males in Western societies, that they've become hermit-like. You know, and I thought that was a little too much. You know, what's happened to Luke is the same thing that happened to Obi-Wan in Episode 4, A New Hope. Same thing. So, yeah, I kind of don't like how politicized things kind of are in these films, and people do point that out quite often. But, yeah, just, you know, some other things done in this film that I liked, some things I didn't like. Now, I definitely like the fight scene in the throne room where Rey teams up with Kylo Ren and they take on the guards. Now, that was a really good frantic fight scene, very reminiscent of what you had happen in Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, that real frantic fight scene at the end. I really thought that was excellent in the Phantom Menace, and this is an excellent fight scene too. You know, where they're fighting with these guards. You know, suddenly, you didn't expect it, but Rey teams up with Kylo Ren and they take these guards on. So I thought that was an excellent scene. I really liked how they did that. You know, it was really, like, choreographed quite well. Because, you know, in the first Star Wars movie, Episode 4, you know, A New Hope, they had the saber duels very slow because I guess they had it at the time where the saber had, like, a lot of energy. So if you swung it, you would swing it a lot slower. Then later on in Empire Strikes Back, of course, they changed that, and, you know, continuing in Return of the Jedi. So they're able to swing it a lot faster. But they just kind of worked the saber a bit differently in Episode 4. So, yeah, definitely a good fight scene. Then in this fight scene, the saber is on the throne, and Kylo Ren turns it on, and it ends up cutting Snoke in half. Now, they never really got into much detail as to who this Snoke character was, what his motive was, where he was from, and I kind of wish they did. I kind of wish they got, you know, and had more information on who this individual was. I remember looking at him and thinking, is he a human? Is he an alien? They never really got into who he was. I definitely bought him as a bad guy. He did look creepy enough to kind of be convincing as, you know, the bad guy. I definitely bought into that. But, yeah, I just thought they were going to do more with that character, that he was going to be in Episode 9 as well. But now that they killed him off, apparently he won't be. So, yeah, there was that whole thing. Now, there was also a long subplot in this movie, and there were some long subplots, and that is what I did not like about this movie, because there were a lot of parts where it seemed kind of incoherent, and they were going off on these subplots. There was this long subplot involving the character Finn and Rose that just seemed to go on, and it involved horse racing, and they went to this other planet, and they're at a casino. And the look of the casino, I didn't think was that great. It wasn't really like the Cantina in the first Star Wars film. It didn't look as cool as Cloud City. Kind of looked like, you know, sort of something that you would have seen in, like, one of the prequels. So I didn't really like the look of it. I don't know why they had a casino, unless, of course, maybe Disney wants to build a casino, and they want that as their theme. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I just didn't care for that scene. Thought that scene was kind of pointless in a lot of ways. And then there's that whole horse racing thing where they're racing on these like wolf horse type creatures, and it was a long scene and thought it kind of went nowhere, and I thought it was unnecessary for the story of this film, for advancing the story. A lot of people have talked about how the storytelling is kind of weak in this film, and I would happen to agree. It was not real strong storytelling. It just wasn't. Now, there is definitely an excellent scene at the end, and that's that scene where Luke emerges from the cave, and he's ready to take on the whole First Order army, and Kylo Ren orders every single gun to be pointed at Luke Skywalker, and they all fire at one time. You just wonder what's going to happen here. And they're all firing on Luke Skywalker, and then Kylo Ren comes out. He sees Luke Skywalker was unaffected by this, and Luke Skywalker like brushes his shoulder off. You see like nothing happened, and you're immediately wondering what's going on here. What just happened. And then Kylo Ren, I believe, swings his saber at Luke. It goes right through Luke. Then later you find out Luke is actually astral projecting. And I didn't know that the Jedi could do that, but I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the Jedi doing that sort of thing. I mean, they could do a lot of other things. They have like telekinesis, and they could do all those mind tricks. So the fact that they could also do astral projection, fine. I'm definitely fine with that. I would have preferred kind of more of a last stand showdown between, the real Luke in the flesh with his saber against Kylo Ren with his saber. And maybe, they could have had Kylo Ren defeat Luke. But they can't do that now because they kind of ruined that with the fact that we now know Kylo Ren's not that powerful because he was easily defeated by Rey in The Force Awakens. So we now know this character is not real powerful, so it wouldn't have really worked at this point. That's why I'm saying that was a big mistake that they made in The Force Awakens. But because now you're not really convincing of Kylo Ren being a very tough villain. You're just not. So yeah, I don't know. I would have preferred maybe some kind of a last stand, a kind of standoff. Nonetheless, though, it was still a cool scene. It really was. And probably the best scene in the film, I think. But, yeah, that's, sort of my take on all that. Of course, you still have R2-D2 in this. You do have C-3PO. And, although I didn't like the direction they went with Luke Skywalker, there are some scenes in this film where you see Luke Skywalker talking to R2, and you're just like, oh, that's Luke. That's Luke. That's the Luke Skywalker we all remember. And you do get that feeling with that scene. But, yeah, there was just a lot of things in the film that just didn't seem to work that well. And all in all, I'm in the middle on this film. I didn't really like it, and I did not really hate it. I would fall in the middle. That's where I would be. And, you hear a lot of people talking about how it's over-politicized. I've heard people refer to this Star Wars film and The Force Awakens as SJW Star Wars, or Social Justice Warrior Star Wars. As they claim a lot of that kind of stuff has been put into these films. I try to ignore that and just enjoy the movie. I do try to do that. But, yeah, like I said, some of the storytelling just wasn't as good as it was in the original trilogy. Original trilogy really had some excellent storytelling. And, you know, there are also some other scenes in this film that I should mention with, you know, like different kinds of furry creatures. Like there's this thing, kind of looks like a combination of a penguin and a baby seal. And I feel like they made that creature up just to sell stuffed animals, you know, because that's kind of what it looks like. They wanted to make it look real cute so people would go out and buy the stuffed animal of it. But, yeah, you know, Chewbacca is still in this film. There's also a scene, and I do have to mention this. It's a scene where a ship gets hit. The First Order hits one of the Resistance ships. Princess Leia's on board, and she gets sucked out of the ship into space. And she uses the Force to get back onto the ship. Kind of looks like Mary Poppins. That's kind of what people have referred to it as. Kind of like a Mary Poppins-like scene. And you know, I don't know. That didn't bother me. I was fine with that because, you know, she did, you know, suffer as a result of that. She was, like, in a coma. So, you know, they did have it where it was still tough on her. It was still harsh. That scene didn't really bother me a lot. I know it bothered some people. They thought it was way too out there. But, you know, we hadn't really seen Leia use the Force. You know, the Force is strong with Leia, so hadn't really seen her use it yet. So I thought it was cool to see her use the Force and show her abilities in that scene. You know, from what I heard, they were actually planning on making the 9th movie about Princess Leia, because the first new Star Wars film, The Force Awakens, was supposed to be primarily about Han Solo. Second one, the Last Jedi, was, you know, Luke's movie, and the last one was supposed to showcase Princess Leia more, but, you know, now Carrie Fisher has passed away, so I don't know what they're really going to do at this point. But, yeah. All in all, you know, like I said, I'm in the middle on this film. You know, I don't even know. I wouldn't call it the worst Star Wars film. I liked it more than The Force Awakens, like I said. Just felt there should have been more of a training montage in the film. You know, something more between Luke Skywalker and Rey, because now they're like, okay, well, Luke Skywalker died at the end of the film, so now maybe he'll be a Force ghost and he'll train Rey. But I don't know, you know, at this point, there was never really much of a relationship established between the two. So would it really mean anything? They should have established more of a relationship between Luke Skywalker and Rey. They didn't. So, yeah, you know, that was definitely a weakness of this film, you know, without a doubt. But, yeah, and just, I don't know, the whole thing with Luke dying from astral projecting, I mean, I didn't know that kind of thing would kill a Jedi. So, you know, I kind of found that to be sort of difficult to take in. But, yeah, all in all, like I said, I'm in the middle on this film. That's all I've got. If you've watched this video, as always, I thank you for watching. Have a great day.